Today is January 23rd, 2016. Joining us on the porch are Karrie Damm and Jennifer Mays.
The best place for family. What are you waiting for? Where friendships run deeper. Come join us on the porch. So glad you're on the porch.
It's yet another exciting adventure with your favorite folks from On the Porch Radio Hour. Yeah, I'm Matthew. I'm your host. And we're going to have an incredible evening. And I know that we're going to have an incredible evening because of our two guests. One thing that you may or may not know about me and my years prior to On the Porch Radio Hour is that I used to guide hiking and backpacking and canoeing trips all around Oswego County. Some of the time I left Oswego County, but I was taking kids from Oswego County and kind of showing them their backyard. And I got really sad recently that I can do that, but that I wasn't doing that anymore. So I decided that I was going to take myself on a trip down the Oswego River, and I headed out to Battle Island, which is right behind Battle Island, the golf course, which is named after the island, which is in the middle of the Oswego River, named after a battle that happened there during some kind of wartime stuff. But anyway, there I was, and I was starting to build a fire, and I was just kind of checking out the scene and watching some type of waterfowl diving in and out of the river, and I was really enjoying the moment when I heard some twigs snapping behind me and some leaves rustling, and I turned around very cautiously thinking that there might be an animal there. But it sounded like a really large animal, and I couldn't think of anything that would have come through the river to get to Battle Island, and so I thought maybe I'd finally reached one of my bucket list goals, and I was only 20 or maybe 30 feet from Sasquatch. Because I have this theory that Sasquatch can swim. How else would it be so elusive? I mean, there's so many things in the ocean that we don't know about. Sasquatch could be one of them. I don't think in the ocean, but I mean, come on. It's the Oswego River. You don't get much closer than that. So I'm sitting on Battle Island, and I turn, and there, casting a beautiful silhouette as the sun was setting, not Sasquatch. No, but it was one of our guests, and that's how we met this evening. Well, we didn't meet this evening. We met. That's how she came to be on the show. See, Jennifer Mays does very similar things, and she guides all sorts of cool trips around Oswego County, showing people Oswego County. And she was, having a similar experience, apparently. And I asked her if she was hoping I was Sasquatch, and she kind of, she was like, yeah, it was. And I said, well, would you like some Slim Jim? And she said, no, I've got some. And so then, we just kind of hung out, and I said, hey, I make my own gorp. And she's like, yeah, me too. I said, okay, I don't, all right, so I said, I made a fire, and she's like, yeah, me too. And we just like, oh my gosh, we have so much in common. And it really sparked this great relationship, that, it lasted like 10 minutes. It was wonderful. And then she got back into her kayak and paddled away. A little more slumped over than when she arrived, because she was hoping that, Sasquatch could build fires. And that smoke was calling her to the island, but it was me and my beef jerky. I was able to convince her to come back to civilization and to join us on the porch just for an evening. So we're going to interview her. We're going to send her back off into the wilderness, where we may or may not cross paths again. I know that she will not be snowshoeing around Fort Ontario, which is a sore subject, so I'm glad I'm bringing that up now and not during the interview. But anyway, as I was finding my way back to civilization myself, and I decided just to cut through Battle Island golf course. I just canoed over and was portaging through Battle Island golf course when I heard a voice ring out, and of course it was the stereotypical four, and I thought, why is somebody out here right now? So I looked, and sure enough, I got hit by this massive snowball, and then there was a lot of laughing, And I turned, and of course it was our other guest, Karrie, and I said, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just, I'm hanging out with these kids, showing them how to have a good time. And I said, well, that's really not nice because you hit me with a snowball. All my beef jerky's gone. I have nothing to help me through. But she had beef jerky, and that started this really incredible conversation about life and wonderful things and snowball golfing, which I'd never experienced before. And I got to play the last 4 holes with them, and then I let all the kids slide down. There's a hill that goes down. It's a little bit off. I forget what hole it is, but it's pretty steep, and people sneak out there and go sledding. And I threw everybody into the canoe, and we pushed them down, and they got going really fast. And then luckily they hit a tree before they hit the water, but they would have gone clear across the river had they not been stopped by the oak. And they loved it. The kids loved it. And now I'm building a new canoe, and life is grand. Things are good. And I'm glad you're here. We have such an incredible lineup of guests that we decided to just opt out of the musical guest for this week because we didn't want to take away from the guests that we have. And so I'm like, yeah, all right. And then I go and say, yeah, okay, musician, you're on the porch. And then they start singing. And neither of our guests were really into, me saying, all right, Karrie, you're on the porch. And then she was like, oh, no. And even with the carrot of beef jerky, she wasn't led to the microphone to sing. So now I'm lost a little bit. I'm not one much for routine, but this cell memory is strong. I don't know what to say here. So I'm just gonna say, all right, Karrie Damm, you're on the porch.
Hey, how are you?
How long have you been with, let me make sure I get it right. It's the Child Advocacy Council. Center. I had it right earlier.
Yeah. We just got the CAC.
Right.
That's fine. That's
okay. So at the CAC,
yeah,
you've been with them for how long?
5.5 years I've been there as the executive director.
Okay.
But I've worked with other multidisciplinary teams, other people who do this for probably about the last 17 years.
Okay. And the CAC is celebrating its 10th anniversary?
15.
I knew that.
Yeah.
It's 15th anniversary. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, it's an exceptional agency, and it's continued to grow. And so we've been really lucky that we've been able to sustain the business and grow it over time.
What is the mission of the CAC?
The mission is to provide a child-friendly place for kids to be able to come in and tell if bad experiences have happened to them. Mm-hmm. And when I mean bad experiences, I mean particularly sexual abuse or physical abuse. But we also deal with kids who have witnessed any kind of major traumas. And we come in and we can do... The people who are the employees of the Child Advocacy Center do the advocacy component, and they do the mental health component. But we work very, very closely with members of the Department of Social Services and the law enforcement investigators and the district attorney's office, medical providers, probation, to help kids through the investigation. Mm-hmm. And then if there are any other kinds of court processes that happen, because maybe there are going to be criminal charges or things like that happen. So we help those professionals, and then we help the kids and families.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Do you go into the homes of the families?
Not very often.
Okay.
Because the Child Advocacy Center movement started back in the 80s, mm-hmm. and what ended up happening is somebody really noticed that when a kid outcried and they said, hey, this bad thing has been happening to me, they would ask kids to tell their story over and over and over and over. And so by the end of it all, kids were telling their story on an average 13 times. And so if you know kids, if you have kids, right, if you ask them one thing and then they think, oh my gosh, maybe I should have tweaked this story and added this or left out that, or they could embellish or whatever. We didn't want kids to have to worry about telling that, especially if it was about something that was really bad that happened to them.
Right.
So Child Advocacy Center's one-stop shop. Mm-hmm. So all the professionals come to them So they come to the advocacy center, all the professionals, so it takes from an average of 13 times down to 3.
Yeah.
And so that's why we don't really do a lot of home visits.
What are all of the avenues in which you are connected with these kids that have a story that need that support?
Well, what we do a lot, especially if the worst case scenario is a kid comes in, says, this terrible thing has been happening to me. The investigators go out, they do find evidence. There's enough to make an arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's a felony arrest, something really bad that happened. And so there's a ton of court processes then that happened.
Mm-hmm.
The statistics, unfortunately, show that most of these kids are abused by someone they like, live with, or love.
Right.
And so oftentimes that it can even be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different court processes happen at that point. So our advocates help the families and the children work their way through and navigating all of those different meetings, different hearings, different, if there's a trial, they have to prep them for trial.
Right.
There's different kinds of trials. There's a grand jury. There's, if it goes all the way to being a full-blown criminal trial versus a family court trial. So our advocates get involved with them and they really educate them and are there to even just hang out and play Uno, while they're
Right.
waiting for their turn to testify or something.
Yeah.
And that can be an all-day, very harrowing experience for a kid. So they do that. And then we have counselors, very specially trained counselors who help kids understand, why would this bad thing even happen to me?
Yeah.
Why? What was the point of that? And then how do I heal from that? And then especially if it's a kid who they're saying, but this is my parents, say, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to get in trouble. I just want them to stop doing these bad things. Right. So our counselors help them and their families heal, and so hopefully that the abuse ends and they can go on to have healthy, productive lives.
Right. What would be the background then of the staff that are working with the CAC?
The advocates are all college grads who, at some point in time, mostly they've studied public justice. So they've done something like really understand how to navigate through all of those components. So that's normally someone with a bachelor's degree and some experience in that way in advocating.
Right. Yeah.
The mental health counselors that we have on staff are all master's level, and they all go through trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy training. So in addition to everything it takes to become a therapist, so it's college, grad school, 2 years to get a license, and it takes another 1 to 2 years to get their certification.
Sure.
And the trauma-based stuff.
What is the size of the staff?
We have grown. When I first came to the CAC in 2010, it was 2 therapists, myself as an admin person, and 1 advocate. We're actually looking to hire our 5th counselor now. We have administrative staff of 4, and we have 2 2 advocates.
Nice.
So we're full to the rafters.
Good for you.
Yeah, we're doing well. It's good.
Give us the breakdown as how people can access and contact and use the CAC as a resource.
I would say if the first point of contact is if you believe or if a child tells you that something bad is happening to them, the first thing to do is call the State Central Registry, that hotline number.
Yeah.
Maybe we could put it on the website. I feel like I know it by heart, but I don't want to say it in case it's wrong. So they can look at but actually they can call the CAC, which is 59-CHILD. It's a 315 area code, 59-CHILD. And if they just press 5, that actually takes them straight to the State Central Registry.
Oh, nice.
So if they believe or a child tells them that something bad has happened, they make a report to the authorities, then the authorities get us involved. Mm-hmm. Or, like I said, if someone just wants to call 59-CHILD and they're not sure exactly what to do, or perhaps their child was something bad happened 4 or 5 years ago, but now they're just ready to get the counseling that they needed, they can call us directly and we can get them in touch with those services.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
With all of the good stuff that the CAC is doing and with the amount of support that they're giving the community, how can the community, is there a way that the community can support the CAC back or give back?
Yeah, absolutely. We always encourage people to, first of all, just even educate themselves about child abuse and what signs to recognize. Become courageous, really, is the best way to say it, about telling and really kind of shedding some light on what bad things might be happening. So that's one way. Another way is general donations, or we do have a variety of different fundraising events throughout the year. Our next big one that's coming up is we actually our 5th annual Chicken Wing Fest.
Yeah, man.
It's a really fun event.
It sure is.
It's a dozen different restaurateurs who they donate 1,400 chicken wings apiece.
Goodness.
Yeah, 16,800 chicken wings in the course of a night because we have 700. You have enough chickens on the farm here?
No.
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 Well, if you'd like to contribute in chicken or soup.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so 700 people come out, and I think tickets are sold for general admission, but we still have a few sponsorship level positions available. And I think even starting on Monday, we have a foul play table that's up for auction on eBay, and that comes with champagne service, a white glove service, so you don't have to go out and fight the crowd to get your chicken wings. They get brought to you, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
that's February 12th.
All right, Max and I are we're already eye contact scheming about how we can get some white glove chicken wing service.
Yeah, get your friends together.
Orange gloves at the end of that night.
It's a really fun time too. We've got John McConnell playing, and we've got some other entertainment, and it's just fun to see everybody come out for a really good cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, supporting the kids. That's all what it's all about.
That's right. Thanks so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Karrie Damm, everybody.
Woo, thank you.
Child Advocacy Center. Doing good work in the community. And now, a word from our sponsor. Whether you like it plain, with tomato sauce, garlic sauce, shrimp, sausage, or my personal favorite, meatballs. Spaghetti is a part of everyone's diet. And it's no wonder. With its ease of cooking, versatility, and delicious taste, spaghetti is everyone's go-to meal. Spaghetti has been so popular for so long that even the great spaghetti tree hoax of 1957 couldn't keep this staple from the cupboards of millions of homes. It was April Fool's Day 1957 when the BBC broadcasted a 3-minute piece showing a family in Switzerland harvesting spaghetti from their backyard spaghetti tree. Eventually labeled the biggest hoax that any reputable news establishment ever pulled, those 3 minutes brought spaghetti to the last few that didn't already love its wonderful taste. BBC even reports getting a large number of requests from viewers asking how they can get their very own spaghetti tree. So bring home the wonder to your family. Educate them. Let them know that spaghetti is delivered to their bellies and hearts by you, not from trees, but from the top of Old Smoky, all covered with cheese. Don't let your poor meatball roll right out the door. But if it does, that's okay. Because, like a big sister after your first serious boyfriend breaks up with you, spaghetti is still there. Enjoy spaghetti tonight. You're listening to On the Porch Radio Hour. We'll be back in a moment.
This is what's happening in Central New York. The Oswego Music Hall welcomes the Ready Well Band with John McConnell opening tonight, and the Sultans of String on February 6th. The Music Hall also hosts an open mic on February 5th, as well as The Hook featuring Gavin Bell with Evan Segroy, Donna Colton with Sam Patarelli, and the Garofalo Brothers on February 12th. Visit OswegoMusicHall.org for more information. The Fulton Community Theater presents The Mating Game from February 5th through the 14th at Tavern on the Lock. Visit fultoncommunitytheater.org or call 315-592-2661 for more information. The Collette Theater and Conference Center is hosting an evening with Grammy Award-winning songwriter Mark Cohn on Friday, March 18th, as well as upcoming screenings of Straight Outta Compton, The Goonies, and Bridge of Spies. To find out about these and other events at the theater or to purchase tickets, visit ColetteTheater.com or call 315-298-0007. The Collette Theater is also participating in the Salmon River Winter Festival, offering special free movie screenings throughout the weekend, and hosting the John Glenn Band on Friday, January 29th. The event runs from January 29th through the 31st and also features wing, chili, and snow sculpture contests. For more information, visit Oswego County Winter Carnival on Facebook. Lakeside Artisans in Oswego offers a paint night on February 8th and March 14th at 7 p.m. For more information, call 315-342-8880. Fireball 2 is planned for January 30th with live music, pizza buffet, DJ dance party, prizes, and more. The proceeds of Fireball support Warm Up Oswego. Tickets may be purchased at Mother Earth Baby, Port City Co-op, and Port City Copy Center in Oswego. Warm Up Oswego will be held on February 6th. There will be raffles, vendors, contests, and live performances all day. Visit warmuposwegofestival.com for more information. The CNY Arts Center holds the 5th Annual Family Fun Snow Day on January 30th from 10 until 3. There will be carnival games, crafts, and concessions, as well as special appearances by the cast of the upcoming production of Seussical Jr. The Arts Center also presents a night at the Tonys as part of the 2016 Dessert Theater series. The first event will be held February 13th. The Arts Center will continue to host an exhibit by painter Linda Flynn through the end of January. For more information about these, as well as other projects and events at the CNY Arts Center, visit cnyartscenter.com. The Wooden Apple Farmstead is the home of Red Room Sessions, a time for songwriters, musicians, and anyone else who wants to build their musical skill and knowledge to get together. We share songs we are working on, bounce musical ideas off each other, and we usually have time to just play a little music. This is a supportive environment where all levels of songwriting and musical experience are welcome. The next session is January 31st at 6 p.m. For more information about Red Room Sessions or other events and projects, visit Wooden Apple Farmstead on Facebook or call 315-591-0711.
It was 5 months after Jennifer Mays started Oswego Expeditions that we met on that fateful day. Not on Battle Island, though. It was at the that festival, the fall festival that they had in Mexico. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. And you had a booth, and you were there, and you were giving all sorts of really cool information and pamphlets. So I stopped and got your information, and I'm really glad I did that. So you had just May of 2015, right?
Yes, May of 2015 was the first introduction to Oswego Expeditions to the public. Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So paint the portrait of your inspiration for starting Oswego Expeditions.
Okay, this is a long-time idea of mine that started when I was about 15 years old. I had a very close friend who used to do all the things with me that I am now providing the opportunity for through Oswego Expeditions. So this friend of mine had brought me camping, hiking in the Adirondacks. He used to take me throughout Oswego County, explore all the local nature trails and state parks. Also with that, there was a historical component. He would talk about the history of all the places that we were exploring. He was the first person to teach me how to ride a mountain bike and take me mountain biking on real trails. Also the first person to take me kayaking. And I had always thought that this would be a great business idea if there was an actual business that could provide that very same opportunity for people that don't necessarily have a friend that I was blessed with having. So that's really the inspiration behind Oswego Expeditions. It came to fruition in 2014 when there was a Next Great Idea competition put on by Operation Oswego County.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
And I entered into the competition and I made it to the final 5.
Nice.
And so once I had made it to the final 5, I realized that my idea had some value.
Mhm.
And then in May of 2015, 2015, we launched the business.
That is so exciting.
Thank you.
So give us a, give us a taste of what you've done so far.
Well, when we started in May, we were basically doing a lot of sponsorship. I have a 20-passenger bus, so I was doing a lot of sponsoring events. We sponsored Tri Oswego, the Tourism Ambassador Program, Paddle Fest, the Dragon Boat Festival. And then once we were into the summer, we started kayak rentals. So I have a fleet of kayaks. So we do some kayak rentals. And then that branched into doing kayak tours of the Oswego River and of the Oswego Canal. We also do guided hikes to the Adirondacks, and that's been basically the extent of the services that we've provided so far. But now we're into a new season, so we're attempting to provide guided snowshoe treks, but the snow hasn't been cooperating.
Yeah.
And then we're still doing the guided treks to the Adirondacks, and then the historical tours as well.
That is exciting stuff. When I met you at the Mexico event and you were explaining this, I was like, oh man, somebody gets it. Oswego County is so rich, and there's this, I feel like there's a stigma, a little bit about like, well, you can't see this stuff because it's local stuff. Like if you want to see an adventure, you want to see something exciting, you have to leave the area, and it's so not true. There's so much that Oswego County offers.
I agree.
Yeah.
So like you had said before, exploring our backyard. So
Yeah.
we really don't have to go anywhere. We have great natural resources, beautiful historical assets. So we have all the things that great cities have. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of getting out there and exploring them.
Give us a little bit of what we might see going on a kayak tour of the Oswego River.
Well, it really just depends what kind of tour it is. So some people are just interested in the recreation aspect of it. They've never
Okay.
been on a kayak before. You'd be really surprised how many people have never kayaked before, how many people don't know how to swim. So they're really just out of their comfort zone. The one thing that I find is the most rewarding with Oswego Expeditions is that guide aspect. So you're not just putting someone on a kayak and sending them off on their own. They like having a guide with them so that they feel safe and secure. Now, we can do a guided recreational tour where it's just paddling, or we can actually take them through and talk about the history of the Oswego River, the Oswego Canal. We'll talk about things like the early shipping industry days. We'll even talk a lot about the Native American history that occurred on the Oswego River before the canal even existed.
Right. This is really cool, and I'm so glad that there's something like this happening in Oswego County. Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you, how they can access you, and do you have an online presence, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, I have a website, www.oswegoexpeditions.com. I also have a Facebook page, the Oswego Expeditions Facebook page. The website, there is a calendar of events. As I'm working on developing programs, that calendar of events will be more specific. Right now, it's basically customized tours by appointment. So if anyone wants to do any specific tour or guided activity, we can arrange that. As we get going, we'll have actual programs in place where they can access those on a regular scheduled basis. My phone number is 561-0223.
I have one last question. Did you grow up in Oswego County?
I was born here. I wasn't raised here.
Okay.
So I've been back in Oswego County since 2005.
Man, that's even better. Because you left and you came back and you're excited about introducing people to what's happening.
Yes.
I will contain my excitement. Wait, before you go, Jennifer.
Yes.
I get too excited sometimes, and I know that you have to have something on your plate, right? Like there has to be stuff coming up. Like what are you doing in the near future or even in the distant future? Just give us the whole thing.
Well, tonight we're actually doing a guided snowshoe trek under the full moon. And, it's going to be a guided hike, really, under the full moon since the lack of snow. We have a beginner snowshoe outing going on January 30th. We'll be participating in Warm Up Oswego. We'll be running a river run. So we're basically going to run West Linear as a family event.
Nice.
And then we're also participating in Base Camp Oswego. Base Camp Oswego is taking place on February 27th at Camp Hollis. It will benefit Friends of Camp Hollis. And basically that's going to be a series of outdoor presentations and workshops, all geared around winter camping, snowshoeing, ski joring, cross-country skiing.
And then for the more adventurous, on February 27th at base camp, the event runs 10 to 4. But if you'd like to camp out overnight, there's a group of us that are going to be camping out overnight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Jennifer Mace, for being on the porch. And we're going to hear more about you in the future. I know this. On the Porch Radio Hour's very own music director.
Whispered love song that keeps our love strong, follows your heartbeat and folds in your arms. Heat the melody comes, just like the stream runs. No one knows just how it is said. How it is said is a little bit angry. How it is said is a little bit sad. How it is said is a little bit tired. How it is said is a little bit glad. Flirt with danger and rush to anger. The smell of fear seeps right into our walls. If war's the answer to some big question, no one knows just how it is said. 'Cause how it is said is a little bit angry. How it is said is a little bit sad. How it is said is a little bit tired. How it is said is a little bit glad. And I'm a stranger caught in wonder what it feels to be part of a crowd. But we need strong souls to change the old rules, make a shift in how it is said. 'Cause how it is said is a little bit angry. How it is said is a little bit sad. How it is said is a little bit tired. How it is said is a little bit glad. How it is said is a little bit loving. How it is said is a little bit free. How it is said is a little bit joyful. How it is said is a little bit me.
On that one fine early morning, when everyone went out to their newspaper box, and they saluted the sun, and the plastic bottoms of their bunny slippers scraped back across the street as they walked up the sidewalk and into their front porches, and they unfolded that newspaper to read the headline, Local Swan League Offended by Tonkahogen High School's Mascot and Emblem. Well, nobody in Tonkahogen even wanted to read the article after that, because that had been their emblem, that had been their mascot. That giant cat salmon needed to stay there. And nobody understood why anybody would be offended. That was the history of the town. That's how their town was developed. Everybody in Tonkahogen knows the story about how all of those lost French Indians after the French Indian War were looking for some place to belong because they didn't have a place to belong. And then they spotted such a beautiful swan. It was huge, massive, on the lake below them as they came up over the top of that hill. And as they decided that this would be their home, that this giant white swan was a sign, and then that massive cat salmon jumped out of the lake and devoured the giant swan in one gulp, they knew even more that this was their home. This was the sign. And so why wouldn't the picture of that massive cat salmon eating the giant swan hanging on the front of the high school, like, why wouldn't that be there? But the local Swan League didn't like it. And the local community didn't like that the local Swan League didn't like it. And so, of course, this escalated. And it escalated big. There were Swan supporters, and there were what they called themselves as the realists. And one realist was quoted as saying, "How can these Swan supporters say that they are speaking out and they're speaking the voice of that and all of the other Swans, when if they really knew the story of our town, then they would obviously be able to identify that it was a mute swan, and they can't take the voice of a mute swan. How do they do that?" And this is where it went, and they escalated, and there were arguments, and there were barber shops that had to close because they couldn't stand the arguing happening in those seats. As it happens, there was a town meeting. Everybody showed up. Chief Mawayout stood at the podium in the high school, right underneath that picture in the gymnasium. All of the Swan supporters wearing white on one side, and all of the realists on the other wearing anything from red to whiskers to the high school colors of brown and orange and black, and they just all were standing there staring at each other. And Chief Mawayout gave an incredible speech, as he always does. And you could see people starting to soften a little bit. And you could see them starting to think, maybe this is ridiculous. But what really ended up being ridiculous is that somebody in the back stood up and they suggested that they just change not just the picture, but the high school mascot. Obviously not a person from Tonkahogan. So pretty soon there were still two obvious groups of people. One group were all of the what had now become the Tonkahogan supporters, and the other group consisted of that one person from the back of the room. And Chief Mawayout just stood at the microphone and he smiled. And in his great Chief Mawayout way, he said, "There is always resolution. There is always something that will reunite our town and our community." And as he turned very dramatically and slowly toward that person that spoke out in the back of the room, and he very calmly asked that person where they may have parked in the parking lot, everybody turned also to look at that one person on the other side of the room. And that one person then knew exactly what their answer should be. And they briskly exited the gymnasium without saying a word. Everybody assumed that that person then got in their car and left. But as Chief Mawayout stood on the sidewalk outside the high school with a couple of his family members chatting after the bizarre town meeting, there was one last car in the parking lot. And on the bumper was a sticker, one of those oval stickers that usually has the three letters that is the abbreviation for an airport or something or another, with the picture of a swan in the middle of it. Sure enough, the next morning, Chief went out for a walk, and that car was still parked in the parking lot, and it sat there until sometime between 2 a.m. Saturday night, or Saturday morning, I guess, and 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Those were the last times people checked the parking lot, and sometime between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. the car was removed from the parking lot. Nobody ever saw it again. But it did raise an interesting question. Maybe it's time to change the picture anyway. I mean, it's not like we're changing our town's history or our town's story. And it is a little busy, said one art major at the high school. So that person then, that art major, submitted a logo. They submitted a new picture of the cat salmon jumping high into the sky. And in the background, as the cat salmon's jumping out of this giant circle, it says Tonkahogan High School on it. The cat salmon's jumping out of that circle, and in the background you can see the horizon line of the water, and just off to the side you might be able to make out the figure of a swan. It's still there. But the cat salmon's not eating it, it's just diving out of the water with its gaping mouth open and looking terrifying, as every high school mascot should. And everybody agreed that that could be okay. And as you sometimes notice in restaurants in towns, when you walk in, they have memorabilia hanging in glass cases on the walls and trophies from earlier competitions and big wins and photographs and signatures and jerseys and all of those things. And all of the local restaurants and diners began hanging up their old high school t-shirts and jerseys and warm-up jackets and Letterman jackets and hats, duffel bags from the hockey team that have the old logo on them. Became an instant treasure, as many things in Tonkahogen do. And that story became an instant treasure as well. Not all towns that go through that kind of a thing end up agreeing to make change. They don't end up agreeing about anything at all. And so when people don't agree, things stay the same. And that's how it is. But in Tonkahogen, where you're surrounded by nobody that belongs, it's odd how you get that sense of belonging. And when you can create something together and you can all circle around it, you can gather on a moment or a story, even though it's just a moment. That's the kind of bond that lasts forever. So as everybody from the town gathered back into the gymnasium a few months later, and the curtain from the theater had been removed from the stage and was now hanging on the gymnasium wall, hooked to several pulleys in the ceiling, and that young art major that designed the new logo, the new emblem for the high school, gave her speech, they slowly lowered the curtain, and there it was, bigger than ever, painted on the side of the gymnasium wall, right next to the scoreboard, which looked very much out of place because that scoreboard is really old. But that paint, fresh, perfect matte finish so that when the lights from the gymnasium shine on it, there's no glare. You can see the whole picture. You can see all the vibrant browns and oranges. And being so huge, you could see all the little fingers from all the elementary school kids as they pointed right where they thought the swan sat on the horizon. And as many things happen in Tonkahogen, there wasn't a plan for when that art major was done giving her speech. But it happened just like it always does, so perfectly, in the moment. One voice turned into two voices, turned into 1,000 voices. This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. And just as we started, so shall we end. You have made it to the end of another exciting episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. I want to thank everybody on Concert Window for being here. I really want to thank everybody that's here at the farm watching live. Are you kidding me? This place gets more and more packed every time we have a show. And I want to thank everybody that goes to our website, www.ontheporch.weebly.com, and checks out all of our archives because they're all there. 2015 and 2016 shows. Remember that we are coming up on our 50th show, so keep listening because it's going to be a whopper. On February 6th, we are going to be recording live at Warm Up Oswego. It's a Saturday, as it should be. It's going to be in the morning, though, at 11:30. So go to Warm Up Oswego, check out everything that's happening there, all of the really cool events. Stop by. We'll interview you on a whim, we do impulsive things, and it'll be awesome. And then we're going to be at the CNY Arts Center on March 10th in the evening, Thursday. And so show up there, and it's going to be wicked cool. But until then, peace to your journey.
On the Porch is a production of the Wood and Apple Farmstead with host and writer Matthew Wood. Our musical director is Gina Holsoffel. Our stage manager is Ray Monet. Our sound technician is Maxwell Wood. This week's show is recorded live at Wood and Apple Farmstead in Palermo, New York. This week's guests are Karrie Damm from the Child Advocacy Center of Oswego County and Jennifer Mays from Oswego Expeditions. Find information about pest shows, being on the porch, and much more online at ontheporch.weebly.com.